All right. I was making a video, and of course, I got cut off. It happens often. Chapel, Nebraska, crappy internet. Fuck it. Um, so while I was having problems getting this loaded up so I could use it again, I was continuing to go through Facebook and posting stuff up. Old videos from before Natalie died. These are all from December. Um, the one that I just put up right now, it's called Premeditated Isn't Defense. In this video, I was going to use a stick to make the example, but I couldn't. There was a stick there, but it was buried in a pile, and pulling it out just to whack something, I mean, it was just a pain in the ass. So I made a slingshot, and I fired an arrow with it. Um, there's a lot of these videos, though. This video is about 8 minutes and 41 seconds long. Um, there's really a lot of them. Here's one called Homeless with Asperger's. So I'm actually going to share that one. I'm going to make it public. And then share button. A lot of the situations that I was in, instead of people using their brains, they wanted to take cheap shots. Now, in these videos, um, let's see if it'll, since I made it public, maybe it'll let me save the video URL. Right click. I don't get it. Um, Copy link. And we'll see if we can put this. This is from my Facebook. This is videos from before Natalie was killed. And I'm just talking about situations that happen very, very often. Now, a lot of people wanted to claim that all of my videos were about Natalie, and every post that I made was about Natalie, and so on and so fucking forth. No, it wasn't. It was about a whole bunch of very fucked up situations that I was speaking out about, including situations that we still have to deal with today. At that point in time, what kind of stuff was I talking out about? Child molesters, rapists, and racist assholes. Not much has changed, has it? I also spoke out about bad cops at the time. Now let's see if I can bring that video up. There's also several videos from when Natalie disappeared and several videos from other people who disappeared the same day that she, well, all right, that's not true. Mandy Singer, her son disappeared. Um, I want to say I found out about it right around the 15th of December. Um, let's see, here's one called Homeless with Asperger's. Here's one on December 24th called 238 million views for Shakira, only 10,000 for the children you victimized. Um, this is just called People. Um, I mean, there's a lot on here. This is just, here's one from November that's called Science. But if you look at a lot of the things that I was dealing with at the time, I mean, obviously, that's tough enough to deal with without all of the extra limitations that I'm having to deal with at the time. And those just continued. Here's another one I should share from December 24th. I'm not sure if you guys can hear this, but I did post a link to it so you can look at it for yourself. This is a disgusting country that we live in. What's happening to black folks is absolutely fucking gross. What's even grosser than that is the fact that it's not just happening to black people, it's happening to a lot of people. And we're supposed to just look away. Well, that's how you end up having it happen to you. You look away when it happens to other people. The first people they're going to go after are the ones who speak out, the ones who would defend you, but you wouldn't defend them. And they got taken away. And when they come to take you away, there's not going to be anybody with balls enough to speak up. Many of these people, they expect me to forgive them for the fucked up things that they did. Laura told me that if I cared about her, I wouldn't ask her to tell the truth. And I told her if I blow my head off, it's her fault for not coming forward and telling the truth. And I mean that for every single person that I went to for help. Every single person who was a witness to this and was too afraid to come forward. If you're too afraid to the cops to stand up to them, yeah, don't tell me you love me. You don't. You love complete and total strangers more than you love me. Someone who you've known for years. And I'm supposed to be okay with that because of the color of my skin. Not okay. So, before Natalie was killed, I was living in a garage at Ken and Leah's. A lot of people wanted to take pop shots like I was some sort of a serial killer because I own fucking tools. Or like I'm some sort of a terrible fucking misogynistic, horrible monster because I have tools. All of that stuff that is in those on those walls in those videos, those are tools. They're not made for killing people, they're made for building things. But because I have tools, just like over half of the men in America, it must mean that I'm some sort of a super psycho serial killer rapist type of person, right? That is just fucking nuttier than squirrel turds. Amanda Jonas did that too. Here I am. I'm forced into a situation where I'm literally living out of my car. And I've had officers stop and harass me on 2 separate occasions by this point for throwing my garbage away in other people's dumpsters. So I'm not throwing it away, it's just collecting in my fucking vehicle. And when I go to fill up with gas, I throw away as much of it as I can and then I continue. And Amanda Jonas, instead of sticking to the facts, she just put a whole bunch of bullshit and slander in there, and it's fine, including taking pop shots at my vehicle and the fucking squalor that I was living in as a result of officers in Boulder County. Where is Amanda Jonas an officer? Boulder County. Imagine that. Now, the officer who assaulted me at the Longmont Hospital over that situation, that was Officer Burke, who did not do his job in Natalie's case. In Natalie and I's protection order, Officer Burke was supposed to call me up and investigate, and he never did. Amanda Jonas told me this. She didn't say that he never did, but the fact is he never did. And I tried to show that phone to every police officer that I encountered. No matter what, the police would not look at it. Fuck the police. You want to say, well, what are we going to do about the police? We can't just get rid of the police. With all due respect, between getting rid of the Nazis in Germany and replacing them with someone else, or going along with the Nazis, maybe there is a point in time where you should say, hey, maybe we should stop following the fucking Nazis. Germany is doing just fine right now. And guess what? The Nazi Party is abolished. There is no SS in Germany anymore. We have more neo-Nazis in the United States than there are in Germany. Metal Heart Gunner typed, I hate the way the words misogynistic, rape, and abuse lost their meaning and are constantly being minimized. Yeah. And that also depends on people's bias. If you are a male, people don't care. They're going to tell you you just need to man up, regardless of your disability. But when it comes to a woman, she can destroy your life with one lie. Natalie didn't go running around saying that I raped her or that I molested her. All she had to say is that I stalked her, which was an outright goddamn lie. I haven't seen one, not even one shred of evidence, not even one, showing that any point in time that Natalie ever accused me of anything except for stalking. Now, there's a bunch of stuff that she's typing, oh, he'll do stuff like this and he'll do stuff like that. I'm afraid he'll tie me up in a basement. You fucking moron. I don't want to tie you up in a basement. I want you and your goddamn druggy friends to leave me the fuck alone. But meanwhile, all of these people are friends with each other. All of our mutual friends that I went to for help. Why didn't they come forward? Because they are friends with my fucking predators. Maddie Boa still has 60-something mutual friends in common with me. Most of those people don't fucking talk to me. They ignore me. Why? Because of the slander. Metal Heart Gunner typed, oh, absolutely. It's only rape if the woman doesn't find you sexually attractive. That is very true. The difference between you getting drunk and calling the cops in the morning or you getting drunk and waking up with a new boyfriend in the morning is how he looks when you wake up. If you, as a woman, find a man physically attractive and you want to have sex with him and you go and have sex with him, that's fine for you to do. Since it's consensual and you want that attractive person to have sex with you, it's fine. It's acceptable for you to have sex. However, if somebody is not physically attractive, then you play on that to pretend that all they want is sex. Oh, he's only after sex. Excuse me, I'm not the one getting drunk and spreading my legs for other drunk assholes. I'm not the one getting drunk and sticking my penis in another drunk person. And then talking about how responsible I am as a parent. You're a parent because you were irresponsible. Meanwhile, when these people did terrible shit to me, they just pretend that I was only after sex. And because I'm ugly, that's not acceptable. Ugly people are not allowed to find another human being attractive. If an ugly person finds you attractive, it is okay for you to destroy their life by slandering their name. The difference between Natalie Bollinger's fears and my fears is the things that I was afraid of, I knew to be afraid of, and those things actually happened. How many times did I lock Natalie Bollinger in a basement? It never happened. But because she was spreading shit like that, people were actually harming me. When I tried to get her to put a stop to it, she wanted to play victim. Natalie Bollinger needed to man up. Alicia Bollinger needs to man up. Maddie Boa needs to man up. Then again, the cops don't give a holy goddamn about anybody who isn't rich or pretty. Let's see. The amount of time I've seen women laugh at pretty nasty and sometimes very inappropriate sexual jokes when a guy they were attracted to said them, yet act disgusted when an ugly guy does the same. I'm going to tell you about a guy I know here in Chapel, Nebraska. He's married, and his wife thinks he's the best thing since sliced bread. Now, meanwhile, she keeps a lot of secrets from him, and he keeps a lot of secrets from her. They're both cheating ass bastards. Neither one of them is faithful. Now, he told me some jokes. He told me some jokes that I found entirely tasteless. And the next day, I told his wife those jokes. I haven't been allowed in their house over 10 years. Over 10 years. Because she found those jokes as offensive as I did. It never occurred to her that her husband is the one that I got those jokes from. He thought they were fucking hilarious. Metal Heart Gunner typed, even if they aren't even as inappropriate, I mean, both are bad, but sex appeal has the power to make it okay. And that's true. That is absolutely true. According to the law, it is just as illegal for that good looking dude to stick his dick in you when you're drunk. Legally, he's still a rapist. But if you don't turn him in because you find him attractive in the morning, then that crime magically goes away. And like, it's illegal for police to do the things that they did to me, but if you don't look at it, then they get away with it over and over and over again. There are women who make a career out of this. Now, there's a video that I posted about, well, it's from another YouTuber, and I'm going to post his video up here again. This is a video that he posted it up yesterday, and it's about being vulnerable as an autistic person. And it's not anything that you're doing wrong. It's just the fact that you exist and you're different. And he makes a very good point of explaining it. It's called The Aspie World. Let's see. We'll go to videos. his thing says TAW, autism is fucking cool. All right. Copy link address. Autism and vulnerability. This is why we are vulnerable. Now, mind you, those of you who are expecting somebody who talk like that, well, I don't talk like that, and neither does this guy. And neither does Anna Moomin. Matter of fact, Anna Moomin is very pretty. Part of the reason that I posted up her videos is because people are more likely to listen to someone who is physically attractive. They're more likely to listen. They're more likely to offer help. They are more likely to try to understand. They are more likely to listen for a longer period of time. Metal Heart Gunner type, and lots of those cucks that run their mouths with talk about feminism and equality and whatever are the first to stick their dicks in a drunk chick at parties. The hypocrisy, man. Totally. I've known people with autism and Asperger's. My mom worked with kids and adults like that in the 90s. Oftentimes, they're much more honest about the world. And that's the point, is that I was honest about all of this shit from the very start. I was honest with Natalie's mother on the 9th of December of 2017. I was honest about the situation with James. I was honest about the situation with Jamie and her son. I was honest about all of these situations, but people didn't want to hear the truth. When I finally had to lie to hopefully get a court date where I could show evidence and actually face my accusers for once in my goddamn life. Once in my goddamn life. You're not allowed. When they call you mentally ill, you are not allowed. Now, many of you have seen enough of my videos that you are well fucking aware that obviously I'm not fucking schizophrenic. If that doesn't make any difference, then go back through. There are videos with people that I have known for 20 years or more who go, yeah, you're obviously not fucking schizophrenic. Which is what they tried to peg me with to justify what the police did wrong. By falsely charging me with assault against a police officer and then dropping the charges, months later, after dragging all of my money out of me and forcing me into homelessness, forcing me into a situation where I am being victimized by the public and I can't get the help that I need, and I'm having to go from one abusive environment to a fucking another. And then being told, oh, well, you chose that. You didn't have to go. And then there's the people that say, you got to trust somebody. Those two are very conflicting in that situation. Because at that point, you are trusting someone that you don't even know. And when you get there, you realize this is the wrong thing to do, but you're already there. Meanwhile, Miss Peaches could have done something about it when it first happened. Miss Peaches could have spoke up the very day that Natalie disappeared, or any day since then, spoken up in public. And absolutely, they aren't affected about certain bias that everyday bullshit puts in our heads. We see the bias, we just think rationally, which most of y'all completely miss out on because you're too busy pressing our buttons and pretending that we're irrational because we're tired of having our buttons pressed. Because we're tired of being backed into a corner and poked with a stick and accused of everything that anybody ever did wrong to you. It's even worse when you're homeless. Metal Heart Gunner type Sean, you aren't schizophrenic. You are more sane than so many normal people I've met. I've seen so much fucked up shit done by normal people that the word normal means nothing to me anymore. You know, there's a lot of people who have that same opinion as you do. A lot of these people who stabbed me in the back and threw me away after what happened to Natalie, A lot of these people told me for years, Sean, you're the smartest person I know. Sean, you are the most sane person that I know. Sean, you know more about the world than anyone that I know. Well, I don't know more about the world than anybody that I know. I know more about the situations that I have been in. When I see a girl who's got cuts on her arms, I know the situation. When I see a young woman who's walking to go to the swimming pool and she's got those marks on the top of her legs, the cuts right here, right here, right here, all along this portion of their legs. I know those are the deep cutters, and I know they cut for different reasons. When they're cutting on their arms in highly visible places, they're doing it for attention. They do want their life to end, but they want to have hope that something good can happen, that someone will care enough to do something about this hell that they're trying to get help with. That one, this one, it would be you, me, Metal Heart Gunner. Metal Heart Gunner typed, I meant to say your view isn't changed by certain types of bias that most of us are subject to because of everyday bullshit we are told to believe. Exactly, I think for myself. Who's here? Did he just say Brussels sprouts? No, I didn't say Brussels. Well, I just now said Brussels sprouts, so I guess I can't even say that honestly. Metal Heart Gunner typed, I wouldn't say you know more about the world. I'd say you aren't afraid to speak about the shit everyone wants to pretend doesn't exist for the sake of their fragile sanity. That works. Now, as far as this stuff with Natalie goes, here's one that's called My Reactions or Outbursts Are the Right Thing. The natural response to being abused and ignored or told it's my fault. We'll share that one too. Now, I got 5 comments on here on my Facebook. Let's see. Mandy Singer updated her status. Mandy Singer likes your comment. There have been many times that Mandy Singer mentioned you in a comment. Mandy Singer reacted to your comment. I have no idea what it's like to be. All right, that one was about. There's a. I'll read that one actually, if it'll take me there. It says, y'all scared to be single. I'm scared to be in another pointless ass relationship. I typed, I have no idea what it's like not to be single. Never had a girlfriend. See, it says she mentioned me in a comment. Let's see which one this is. This is a picture of, there's a cement wall, and there's 2 people, and they're getting professional photography stuff done. And just on the other side of the wall they're sitting on is a homeless dude who's trying to. Mandy Singer was homeless for a lot of years. She typed, this happens too often. I've been invisible for many years. The reason there are not enough services for the homeless is because too many people choose to ignore this in their community. They don't ignore it, they try to get rid of it. Some people ignore it, most people try to get rid of it. I typed, I wish I could share this. Mandy typed, Sean Schwartz, it should be shareable now. Nice! Hit that motherfucking share button. Share now public. Um, who's here? Did you just say Brussels sprouts? Love those things. Metal Heart Gunner typed, I'd say you're pretty much a nihilist, and maybe that's why I agree with so much of what you say. This one, that one, this one typed, anyone else here enjoy sprouts with butter, toasted, roasted for a while? I'm sorry that one, this one, but that's not anything the conversation's about. I mean, I suppose we could talk about Brussels sprouts, but I don't care about Brussels sprouts. I'm not making a video about Brussels sprouts. The Rubber Bandits, huh? I tell you what, you go enjoy a Macaulay Culkin movie. I think that's acceptable for you. Metal Heart Gunner type, I understand where she's coming from. People make relationships more complicated than they actually are because we are told that being single sucks, which isn't true. Sometimes it's better to be alone. A here into the Rubber Bandits, I'd recommend Horse Outside. I want to show you something. A lot of the stuff that is in that garage that I was staying at Ken and Leah's before Natalie died. I got a lot of that very same stuff here in this horse trailer. This is my new Ken and Leah's garage, I guess. These tools were the same things that I wanted to use them for before Natalie died. When I got that shop on 75th and Arapahoe in Boulder, Colorado, I got that so that I could make things to make the world a better place. Things that I could use to help homeless people, but also that I could sell, get the most important thing that everyone misses out on when they come up with these great ideas. See, we have tents. On that site that Darren O'Connor has, there's easily hundreds of different ideas of tents. These people have these great and wonderful ideas about all these great and wonderful tents. One guy designed a tent that weighs 80 pounds. It's 8 foot long. You can't take this on public transportation. This is going to be more harm than good. It's 80 fucking pounds of gear. You can't just leave it somewhere. It'll get fucking stolen. Will the cops come and steal your gear if it's 80 pounds? Yes, they will. They will show up and they will call the city and have the city remove it because these cops are too lazy to do any actual physical labor. Uh, that one, this is just the wrong place to troll right now. A lot of the stuff that I've gone through, I am aware that minorities go through it, and I speak out because these things happen to minorities as well. But I'm not going to stop speaking out about the things that happen to me. I'm not just going to pretend that those things didn't happen to me as well. People love to talk about themselves. And most of the people that offered to help me did exactly that. Instead of listening to what was going on, they told me how to think and how to feel, and then started going off about themselves. Many of these people that offered to help, it didn't take but 2 or 3 sentences for me to realize that they want help. I have had hundreds of people send me information about the things that they have had to go through and their predators, the sexual abuse, the physical abuse, the neglect. Wow, there goes any suggestion for sliced meat on the side. Metal Heart Gunner type, don't feed the troll. Let him find his sprouts elsewhere, laugh my ass off. Metal, I'm trying to lighten the mood. Well, instead of trying to lighten the mood, why don't you pay attention to what's going on? I don't need the mood lightened. I need help. I make these videos to try to inform people so that they're aware, so I can get the help that I need. I don't make these videos because I need the mood lightened. I make these videos because if I can't see my friends, I just want my life to end. Plain and simple. That's what all of this came down to. All of it from the start. Meanwhile, people didn't want to do the honorable thing. They didn't want to tell the truth. They wanted to play victim after doing fucked up shit to me. And then, when I speak out, they want to pretend like I'm stalking them or harassing them. But no. If you do it to me first, at that point, it becomes fair fucking game. At this point in time, I have every right to threaten the lives of hundreds of human beings. I have the right to threaten them by name. Why? Because they threatened me. And I did not threaten them back. And the police did nothing. But then, when I did threaten people back, these things that the cops told me for almost 2 years by that point, that it's not illegal, or they can't do anything about it because of jurisdiction. If I was in the right jurisdiction, they'd tell me it's not illegal. If I'm not in the right jurisdiction, they tell me I'm not in the right jurisdiction. Let's see. They tried to tell you how to fit in when fitting in wasn't the problem to begin with. That one, this one typed, Sean, do you have a favorite food? Yes, I do. That one, this one, let's not mess about. Let's be honest here. Mine's not Sprouts, though. Metal Heart Gunner type, the mood is alright. It's nice to be serious every now and then. That one, this one typed, lollies. I love lollies. Sean's always serious. I'm trying to get him to let his hair down. I'm going to tell you something. In this town right here, I've been trying to get people to let their hair down since I moved here at the age of 15. 15. See, that's the great thing about Boulder is that I had positivity there. I could see positive people and do positive things. Here, I go over to see Stegum, and he's usually in a bad mood. He'll call me when he gets really drunk because that's when he feels like getting social. And he'll call me and invite me to come over. And usually when I go over, he plays video games while I'm there. Mostly I just annoy him because he's trying to play his video games. Not very many people in this town are positive, and not very many people in this town historically ever hung out with me. There's a lot of stuff that happened in between when I left Virginia in 2016 and when Natalie got shot in the head in 2017. Now, do you know what the difference is between the abuse that I took before Natalie died and after? Afterwards, it got 1,000 times worse. Afterwards, I had police officers assaulting me. Before Natalie died, I just got blown off. You just need to man up. You just need to man up. With all due respect, maybe you should try telling Alicia that, or Maddie that. I don't know what the hell that was. Serious doesn't exactly always have to mean bad mood. Sometimes some towns are shitty and people are constantly in a shitty mood. Yet they aren't serious. They're just the same as everybody else. See, for me, I'm actually a very fun person. I'm a fun-loving person and I'm fucking hilarious. Nearly every one of these people who stabbed me in the back at one point or another has told me that I am the funniest person they know. The thing is that this is a serious situation. I have a very limited amount of time to get anything done, and lightening the mood isn't what I need. Lightening the mood would require somebody in person to go do something fun with. we've talked about having a game night here. The guy whose house I was staying at most of the winter. Him and a couple other people that he's related to. We've spoken about it. It just hasn't happened. Now, most of these people have folks that they do go do fun stuff with. It's just not me. A lot of these people are women. Women who complain. They break up with their boyfriend. They talk about how terrible he is. A week later or 2 weeks later, they're wanting to get back together with him. Or if you won't take her back, then she complains and complains and complains. Now, this is the difference between men and women. All right, that better be a fucking mouse and not that possum again. If I hadn't just lost my frame of thought because I heard something over here moving around, I did have an important point to make. It's easier to be positive when you're around positive people. It's difficult to be positive when you're around negative people. When you have to be the positive one. Oh yeah, they're possums. You can't scare them; they play dead. um, if I was able to go see my loved ones and have positive interactions, go actually do fun things. When I was homeless in Boulder, I worked like a fucking dog. I earned my free time. And what I chose to do with my free time is none of your goddamn business. Treating me like I'm a bad person because I passed out blankets for 7 years. And yeah, I know most of the people that I handed out these blankets to were alcoholics or fucked up on drugs, but they're still human beings to me. Natalie Bollinger was fucked up on drugs, and she's human to me. Same thing with Alicia. The other thing is, they both turned out to definitely be monsters. Decent human beings don't do this to innocent people. How difficult would it really be for Alicia Bollinger to state publicly, Sean never molested me, he never raped me? She doesn't have to say a goddamn thing about the situation with her sister. On her sister's last public post, she admitted that we never had a sexual relationship. Metal Heart Gunner, man, I would love to meet you in person. You are very charismatic. I'm not in the US though. Um, See, that is true. Mood is often a sharing thing, but some individuals have the charisma to change the mood, whether it's for the better or for worse. You know, I charisma is usually the looks. That's I actually want you to look up the word charisma because although it does mean what you think it means, it also doesn't. Charisma is your ability to walk into a room and make an effective change. I know that kind of charisma. Kim Jepsen can walk into a room and the whole atmosphere changes. Kim Jepsen is very pretty, though. She's also very outgoing and she smiles a lot. She has family that loves her. She has a lot of reasons to smile, a lot of reasons to be happy. No, I never had a girlfriend. I almost did with Caroline Coffey, and Well, she came back, and instead of going on a date with me, ended up going out on a date with Chris Stegeman, who was still dating Jamie Curtis at the time. Caroline Coffey was the first girl to ever say yes to going out on a date with me. Well, she was a grown adult by that point, of course, but that's not the point. And it was actually Chris Stegeman and Jamie Curtis who encouraged me to ask her out. I don't choose for women to be how they are or to be trained how they are in the United States. Most of the people who have made it blatantly obvious that they want to have a relationship with me, all right, all of them are either underage or men. No woman in the history of my lifetime has ever made it blatantly obvious that she wants to date me. Natalie kind of made it pretty blatantly obvious, but if you look at our messages between each other, well, I pretty well sidestepped that as best as I could, despite the fact that she was actually an adult at that time. But if you look at the history of little girls like me because I'm honest and I treat them like human beings. But once they become adults and realize that it's a lot of work and you're probably not going to have the money to take care of yourself like everybody keeps telling you that you should, well, then you're over the age of 18 and you can basically prostitute yourself for a roof over your head. Now, instead of saying, Sean, you're a terrible person for saying that I had to prostitute myself, actually, I'm more pissed off about the fact that you would have to do such a thing. You shouldn't have to prostitute yourself to have a roof over your fucking head. Oh, Argentina. Oh my God. I've learned quite a bit about Argentina in my study of jets. Post-war jets from Germany and, well, the two major jet folks were Hans von Ohain from Germany and Frank Whittle of the United Kingdom. Frank Whittle came up with the idea way earlier than Hans von Ohain did, but they used different methods. Von Ohain used the centrifugal compressor, or used the axial compressor. Whereas and not on his first one, the HES series, they're centrifugal compressors, just like the British Whittle engine. But the engine that they eventually put together, the Junkers Umo 004 and the BMW 003 engines, are both axial compressors. After World War II, a lot of the German scientists that were able to escape, as well as people like Adolf Galland, who is one of the top jet pilots in Nazi Germany, they moved to Argentina to help. And I don't know how you guys view it in Argentina, whether or not that man was a tyrant or not, but he was the reason that the German jet engines and jet designs continued in the Argentine Air Force. Matter of fact, the first jet engine, or the first jet that was produced in Argentina, was an end of the war German jet, almost to the bolt. Adulthood and newfound responsibilities change people. And some things for the better, but it can potentially make us very self-centered and selfish. That one, this one typed. So I was going down the rabbit hole of old music memories. Good for you. Metal heart gunner type. One of our presidents was a close affiliate with the German SS. Those jets are still used to this day. So obviously I'm a pretty big history buff, and I don't know all of the names. I believe the guy's last name was Perón, but I could be wrong about that. Matter of fact, I will look it up. Argentina. Juan Perón, Wikipedia. Juan Domingo Perón was an Argentine army general and politician. After serving several government positions, including Minister of Labor and Vice President, he was elected President of Argentina 3 times, serving from June 1946 to September 1955, when he was overthrown in a coup d'etat, and then from October 1973 until his death in July 1974. During his first presidential term, 1946 to 52, Perón was supported by his second wife, Eva Duarte Evita. They were immensely popular among the Argentine working class. Eva died in 1952, and Perón was elected to a second term, serving from 1952 to 1955. And that right there, that's something that you might notice about OCD. If you know people with OCD and you tell them something, they're the most likely people to look it up because they just have to know. Let's see. But after we had 6 dictatorships in the 20th century, the military has been pretty much gutted. In fact, people aren't fond of anything that has to do with police or military. Well, hopefully we can get that going here in the United States too, because I would sure like to drop some food on some foreign countries instead of some bombs. What's the difference between the nations that we drop food to and the nations that we drop bombs to? Literally, it's the religion. The nations in Africa that we drop bombs on are primarily Muslim countries. The ones that we drop food shipments to are primarily Christian nations. Christians will support feeding Christians. They will not support feeding Muslims. How fucked up is that? And I found some old music that blew my socks away. And then metal heart gunner type Perón is often painted in a good light, but not all of it is true. Well, here's the way that I look at history. We say that history is written by the victor, and in many cases it is. But propaganda, over time, eventually becomes history if we don't correct it while there is still a chance. If we don't speak up while there is still a chance. Let's say I was friends with Donald Trump, right? And I was to find out that Donald Trump was doing all of this retarded shit that he's doing because he is willing to go down and be the sack animal. And those of you who have read any Mark Twain books, you might know what a sack animal is. Like a dead cat in a sack. Let's say Donald Trump was willing to be the sack animal. He's willing to take the fall to expose all of the things that these government officials are doing. Now, let's say that I was aware of that. And there's a possibility that if I don't come forward, not only is Donald Trump going to go down for something that he didn't do, but also the whole world is going to be worse off for the better. Now, thank goodness this is a fake scenario. We all know that Donald Trump is a fucking moron. But in that particular scenario, if that was the case, wouldn't it be your moral responsibility to speak up? Wouldn't it be your moral responsibility to tell the world the truth, even if they don't want to listen? Most of the people who promised that they would help me never put any effort towards helping me how they said that they would. And then later on, they wanted to play victim when I have literally gone through years of this. Miss Peaches speaking up when this very first happened would have made a whole world of difference. But instead, I had to record it after I had to flee the state of Colorado for my own safety and for the safety of my loved ones. I recorded conversations between myself and Miss Peaches so I could show the truth, the things that she should have told the courts. But she also says in at least 2 of those conversations that she tried and the cops wouldn't do anything. Same thing with Aaron Cockerham. Same thing with Cara Rogers. If the police won't listen, come out in public. I told you I would. And I told all of you, I'm not going to keep your secrets. One of those videos that I made in December of 2017, before Natalie died, was about the fact that I'm not going to keep your fucking secrets. Keeping your secrets gets innocent people harmed. If you tell me that your oldest daughter was molested by your husband, I'm not going to keep my mouth shut. If you got 3 younger daughters, then I'm automatically thinking to myself, I hope that that man is out of the house before he starts doing it to others. When you don't stop people from victimizing others, and you don't listen to the victims, and you punish the victims, other people are hurt by those predators. When nobody would do anything about Waylon Lolatai, and I spoke up, and nobody would do anything, Waylon Lolatai was allowed to assault 6 more people after me. When I spoke out about Clearview and what they did to me, and people wanted to treat me like a liar, those very same predators killed 2 people. Killed 2 people doing what it is that they did to me. So did I get lucky that they didn't kill me doing those things? No, everybody threw me away. Most of y'all typing on here, you're complete strangers. I don't know you from Adam, and that doesn't make you bad people. It's just difficult for me to make connections with people, emotional connections. I can understand from an emotional point of view, but most people don't understand me from an emotional point of view. They assume that I am so much different. No, it doesn't matter if you're autistic or not. If you're sad, you're sad. And then we enter the situation of crisis. When somebody who is high functioning autistic is in crisis, there is always a reason. If somebody who is high functioning and autistic is having a meltdown after they've been trying to explain to you every day of the week, hey, I get assaulted for going to school, I get beat up for being different, I need help. You go to your parents and they blow you off, then that means that you still have to continue enduring that. Let's see. It says, Metal Heart Gunner. His body was embalmed for one reason. His vault was sealed by a fingerprint reader in 1999. I think it was 1999. Someone broke into his pantheon and sawed off his hands. It was actually in 1987. I don't know where I got 1999 from. Some people theorize that he was keeping part of the Nazi riches, like stolen paintings and such, but it's just rumors. Um, his wife, Evita Peron, or Eva, she is the second most well-preserved mummy in the world. Um, she was her body was preserved by something called plastinization. Basically, they turn all of your cells into plastic, and you'll look like that forever. The most well-preserved body on Earth is actually Vladimir Lenin. Now, Evita Peron went through the plastinization process afterwards, and it was a better process by the time that she was embalmed. Isn't the right word, so I keep being about to say embalmed, but I'm trying to avoid using the word embalmed because it's not actually being embalmed. There's no embalming fluid. It's turning your cells into plastic. Maslacki typed, "Where are you right now?" I'm in Chapel, Nebraska in a horse trailer. Anyway, the reason that she's the second most well preserved corpse in the world instead of the first is because she had one of her fingers chopped off and one of the guards had sex with her plastic corpse. Oh, let's see. Metal Heart Gunner type. In fact, the guy that embalmed her admitted that he had sex with the corpse of Evita. Ash D typed, I watched a video on Vladimir Lenin. He looks good, but his age still shows. I wonder if they have to dust him. And I don't mean that as a joke. I mean, like, because he's in a glass case so that people can view his body. I don't know if they still have that, but I know that there was a thing on the news in the 90s where they still had his body on display. Um, I just don't know if dust gets into that or if it's perfectly sealed or whatnot. I do know that because of the nature of plastinization, they don't really need to keep him covered. He's not going to rot. But it's does he get covered in dust and end up looking like he's got more gray hair than he actually does? Um, I pay a lot more attention than people think. But then there's also the fact that I retain more information than most, and I collect more information at one time than most. If it takes me a few seconds, or even a few minutes to answer your question, part of that is because I have to break down your question and figure out what you meant. Because let me tell you the difference between talking to somebody who speaks proper English. I know lots of people who are from the UK who speak UK gibberish. And if you have ever listened to two people, I'm gonna give you an example. There was two people from Liverpool that walked into my Starbucks in Boulder one day, and they didn't know each other, but they got to talking, realized that both of them were from Liverpool, and at first they were talking proper English. You're in America. You don't want to set a bad example for all of these American idiots. So you try to speak all prim and proper. And that way you're also understood better. And most of the people from the UK that I know in the United States, I have problems understanding y'all Americans because you don't speak properly. But then when you listen to those two dudes from Liverpool, once they realized they were both from Liverpool, there's a bunch of words that are coming out of their mouth that I don't know what any of this stuff means. When I hear the words tart and crumpet, what am I thinking of? I'm thinking of desserts. But based on the conversation that they were having, they were talking about Boulder. I was able to extrapolate through the words that they were using that they were talking about homosexuals. Now, that's mostly when they were talking about a tart. I still don't know what the fuck a crumpet is. But you listen to them speak to each other. It is completely different than listening to proper English. It's like going to Louisiana and listening to somebody speak everything half in French. It is that different. A lot of their slang is completely different from our slang. Let's see. Evita's fingerprint was needed for Perone's vault as well. That might have been why it was cut off. Ash D, they probably do dust him. Let's see. It pops up like 5 or 6 of your comments all at once. They probably do dust him, but I'd assume only after maintenance, so it goes in pristine. That makes sense. Metal Heart Gunner type, being observant makes you catch details and retain more information. Yep. But that also has a lot to do with my brain power. No, I can't lift things just by looking at them and going, I would really like that lighter to be in my hand. Matter of fact, I'm going to give it an honest effort here. I know a lot of y'all are going to think that I'm crazy for making this effort, but I'm trying to prove a point. Put my hands up here so that if it comes to my hands, you'll get to see it. Yeah, it's not working. So apparently, between believing in magic and getting off my ass and doing something, getting off my ass and doing something is the more effective way of doing it. But I have an IQ of 172. Statistically, there's only one person with my intelligence quotient for every 70 cities, towns, and municipalities in the United States. Statistically, you would have to have a city the size of Boulder, 9 of those cities the size of Boulder, with 200,000 plus people in it, in order to find one person in that town with my intelligence quotient. Imagine that. In Denver, statistically, you will find one person with my intelligence quotient. In New York City, statistically, you'll find what, 5? Let's see. I had that happen with some Venezuelan coworkers. When they knew they were from Margarita, they started speaking so fast that it was so damn hard to follow what they said. It applies to every language. That's very true. And also, you might think you're speaking the same language, but you're actually not. Chris Stegeman and Jamie Curtis both went to Brazil, and so did Chris Stegeman's dad when he was younger. Went to Brazil through Rotary. Jamie only got to go because she was girlfriends with Chris Stegeman at the time, and Chris's dad was the president of Rotary. So, or was in charge of the Rotary Exchange program. So she basically got a free ride. Miss Jerry Sparks, she had an ex-boyfriend named Andrew, and he pronounces it Andrao, which sounds very guttural and weird, but he's trying to pronounce it as a Portuguese person. Now, a lot of people don't know that Brazil, they speak Portuguese, but it's not actually Portuguese. It's Brazilian Portuguese. The difference between saying good day in Portugal and saying good day in Brazil is a matter of bom dia, would be in Portuguese. I was going to say in Portuguese. But if you're saying it in Brazilian Portuguese, the D sounds like a G. So instead of bom dia, and it's bom, B-O-M-D-I-A. In Brazilian Portuguese, it's bom dia. It sounds like B-O-N-G-I-A, bom dia. Abre a porta, fecha a porta. That's open the door and close the door. But Jamie and Andrew were both in the same house with me at the same time. And I asked Jamie to say something in Portuguese. And she speaks Brazilian Portuguese. And Andrew didn't understand a word that she said. He said I caught maybe 2 words of that. And then I asked him to say something in Portuguese. He did. And Jamie only understood like 2 words of it. That's how different that very same language is. And Spanish, like your example, exactly the same thing. There's a lot of regional slang that we also have to deal with. In the United States, we got a lot of territory from the East Coast to the West Coast. There are words that you hear on the East Coast that you won't likely hear on the West Coast, and West Coast words you're not likely to hear on the East Coast. Some people say soda, some people say pop. Here in the Midwest, we call it soda pop because we're smack dab in the middle. There's a lot of regional dialects. There's also a lot of regional slang, and there's also a lot of vocational slang. And then there's a lot of like the slang that I use, the terminology that I use when I say a tick. I'm not talking about the little thing that grabs a hold of your sock coming off the blade of grass and starts sucking your blood. I'm talking about an electrical signal sent by your body that makes you do things like this or things like this. It's called a tick. There's also vocal tics. A lot of people, if you don't curse, they don't think you have Tourette syndrome. I'm going to give you an example of a vocal tic. That's a vocal tic. That sound is literally how they found out I had Tourette syndrome. Now, just so that you're aware, vocal tics are only present in 30% of Tourette syndrome cases. And the cursing thing is only in 5% of that 30%. So after Natalie died, I was doing a lot of cursing because I was really pissed off. People like, he can't help it, he has Tourette syndrome. No, I can't help doing this. I can't help doing this. I have to control those things 24 hours a day if I am out in public so that I won't be victimized for doing this or for doing this. It is physically, mentally, and emotionally exhausting to try to pretend that I don't have tics. They don't hurt anybody. But it's your assumption of somebody who has those tics that results in you harming people over your bad assumptions. Ash D type. A crumpet is just like a circle bit of bread you put in the toaster. See, now we have crumpets here, and I thought that that's what they meant by crumpet, but with the way that they were talking, that is not the crumpet they were talking about. Not by any stretch of the imagination. But you're right. That is a crumpet. Metal Heart Gunner typed, I know what you mean. I do the same thing. My IQ is 172, though. Supposedly it's 147 or 151. It changes based on tests, I guess. And that is true. They have 3 tests that they do, 3 different tests that are on the same margin. They're just so that you can't cheat on a test just because somebody else might have had the same test. At 147 to 151, you do fall under the super genius category. You're a genius. Well, I guess that depends on where you're at in the world. Some people consider you a genius at 120. Some people consider you a genius at 140. Some people consider you a super genius at 140. And some places consider you a super genius at 160. In either event, if you have an IQ over 120, the more over that you get, the more social problems that you're going to have. Because most people, especially in the US, even if they have an intelligence quotient of 120, they're basically not motivated to use more than 80 of those IQ points. The base language might be the same. It's the accent and sometimes the dialect might change. In Spain, there's like 4 different main regional dialects. In Germany, there's 3. There's High German, Low German, and Southern German, something like that. There was a lady from Germany who used to live here. Her name was Monica, and she tried to explain to me how the German language works and the difference between Ich liebe dich and Ich liebe dich. has more to do with their proximity to French-speaking people. And on the left-hand side of the country, it's mostly French-speaking people that they're bordering and Belgian-speaking people that they're bordering. And on the east side, it's more of the harsh-sounding languages. A lot of, like, Russia, for example, is to the east. And I'm not sure if you guys have ever heard Russian. It's not exactly what I would consider the most beautiful language. It's not as harsh as German, though. Honestly, those tests never made sense to me. They told me it was genius level. Honestly, I never cared about it, to be honest. My school forced me to take those tests. Yep. There was another point that I was going to make about language. Yes. The Spanish language, the Portuguese language, the Italian language, the English language, these are all based on colloquial Latin. Now, what's colloquial Latin? Well, let's say that you take over a bunch of places and you have soldiers that speak 10 different languages, and not all of them speak your language. What you're going to teach them is the basics, because colloquial Latin is the Latin that was taught to the soldiers in each of these areas. And over time, this is, basically they're teaching you left, right, halt, change position, alternate, basically basic simple commands so that anybody can follow the instructions of their superior officers. Now, after the fall of Rome, they had owned most of these places, all of France, portions of Germany, all of Spain, all of Portugal, all of that area. I mean, literally, they owned everything surrounding the Mediterranean, including all of the islands in it. There was nothing in the Mediterranean. There wasn't even 1 inch of land in the Mediterranean that touched the Mediterranean Sea that was not owned by the Romans. They had people of every color. They had emperors that were black in Rome. They had slaves of every color in Rome. So each of these languages, Spanish, English, Portuguese, and many of the languages along the northern part of Africa, are all colloquial Latin languages. And we have the Roman Empire 2,000 years ago to thank for that today. You wouldn't think that after 2,000 years it would still have that much of an effect. But yeah, most of the world speaks a colloquial Latin language. In India, English is the second language in India, one of the most populous nations on earth. But it also used to be a former British colony, so it makes sense. So the British, by becoming imperialistic in the same way that the Romans did, are now spreading their colloquial Roman language by presenting it as English. Now they're spreading this colloquial language, this colloquial Latin language, but now it's not going to be considered a colloquial Latin language. It's considered the English language. In 2,000 years, we have made pretty much complete separation of the two, although English is still very similar. And of course, when you go to all of these former British colonies, they're speaking English, just like when the Romans took over all of these places, those people started to learn to speak Roman or Latin. I don't even remember what this video was supposed to be for, so I'm going to finish up the comments here and turn it off, and then I'm going to go pee, and I didn't get any sleep last night, so I might try that. Argentina has 23 provinces, of which 7 have the most recognized dialects, but most of them have minimal differences to them. A lot of people from Britain who are actors, and a lot of people actually in America who are actors who have thick, like Boston accents or things of that nature, they come to the Midwest because this is considered the place that has no accent. This is like when you're cooking food, right? And you keep a whole bunch of crackers next to you so that you can change a palate. Let's say you're eating something sweet just to taste it and make sure it's all right, but now you have to taste the sour sauce. The sweetness is going to affect the sour. So you eat that cracker in between, and then it changes the flavor. It, what's it called? Mutes the palate. It gets rid of most of the previous flavor so that the new flavor that you're adding on top isn't a mix. It's like, yeah, I don't want to taste orange juice and milk at the same time. So I'm going to drink a little bit of milk, I'm going to eat a cracker, and then I'll take a small sip of orange juice. So a lot of actors from the UK and, well, from a lot of English-speaking places actually come to the Midwest, to Colorado and Nebraska and South Dakota, places like that. Once you start getting into the northern or northeastern part of South Dakota, then you start listening to people who start saying, "Don't you know?" They start speaking like this, "Don't you know?" But as long as you're south of that area, a lot of people come here before they start to learn a new accent, like a British actor who needs to do a Boston accent. Instead of going from Great Britain to Boston, they go from Great Britain to someplace like Boulder, Colorado. I've seen a lot of famous actors in Boulder, Colorado. I've seen Patrick Stewart. I've seen Alanis Morissette. I've seen Jennifer Garner. I've seen Tommy Chong. But the thing is, they'll go to that area before going to Boston to pick up that accent, because just like with that cracker, that's what the Midwest accent basically is. We're considered the people without an accent, which is weird because we do have an accent because the English language is obviously English. So therefore, the English are actually the ones that don't have an accent. I always say that in the past, we tried to find ways to make our work less physically taxing. The invention of the steam engine provided that to us. Nowadays, we look for ways to think less. Very true. All right, y'all be safe. Thank you for joining my chat. Thank you for taking part. And, you know, as much as it actually does bug me that people comment and it distracts me from the important things that I'm trying to say and trying to show, your questions are important, which is why I answer them. The things that you have to say are important. You are a human being, and you have the right to be heard, same as I do. A lot of the stuff, like almost all of the videos that I've typed or made in the past week, I've completely gone off topic just because I start reading the stuff on the side. Now, I could turn off the chat to all of these. That is always an option. And although I don't know how to do it, it probably wouldn't take much tampering. Then again, I don't know because I've never tried. And most stuff that I have tried ended up being a bigger hassle than I ever could have possibly thought that it would have been. I'm about to pee myself and I want to get some sleep, so I'm going to let y'all go. If you guys see me on and you do type in the right hand side here your little chat questions or whatever, I'll still answer them as long as I see them. Right under the chat it says hide chat. Not on mine. Welcome to live chat. Remember to guard your privacy and abide by our community guidelines. Learn more. Maybe it's in that part. Anyway, I'm going to let you all go. Be safe. Stay out of trouble or don't get caught. It might be different for who's streaming. It also might be dependent upon when you get updates or what kind of a computer that you're using. You never know. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that as soon as I got it figured out, they changed it. Like when I figured out how to go through all of my previous posts, and instead of having to scroll and I literally spent 4 hours one night scrolling through my Facebook to try to get all the way back to 2017 so that I could show people what was going on right before Natalie died. Hours. But then I finally figured out that if I scroll down my Facebook just an inch or two, then it pops up a little options bar and I can click on the options bar. The problem is the day that I learned how to do that, I spoke out about it on Facebook. I'm like, well, I finally figured out how to do this. Literally the next day they changed it, and I haven't been able to do so since. It'll sit on Natalie Bollinger's page, though, because hers hasn't been updated, whereas it automatically updated mine. It's been nice seeing you, Sean. Didn't mean to sidetrack the topic of the video. Haha. That's all right. You were asking questions. You were being serious about it. You weren't trying to lighten the mood with stupidity. And that's not to say that that person is stupid. I mean, obviously, there's some intelligence to them. And Facebook developers do love to change things all the time. They also did a lot of things that are highly illegal here in the United States well before they got approval to do those illegal things, like the facial recognition software that they claimed that Facebook was going to put in 2018. Like, no, they had that in 2014 when Sarah Rubiolo's spice disappeared. I know that for a fact because I took a picture of the bulletin that was on the kiosk on the Pearl Street Mall and I posted it on my Facebook, and it said that I was with Sarah Rubiolo. I didn't even type her full name. It had facial recognition and automatically pulled up her name and automatically said that I was with her. Mark Zuckerberg is a punk. One of the biggest problems that I had right at the beginning, I tried to show all of the evidence in order, but Facebook won't allow your pictures to be posted in order. If you take 30 text messages and you take screenshots of them and post them up on Facebook in order, Facebook will automatically rearrange the order of it. And a lot of people were looking at that stuff, and there's 30 or 40 fucking pictures that I took. They could go through and actually take the time to put them back together, but they're too lazy for that. I mean, the people who want to do this armchair detective bullshit. Meanwhile, they wouldn't even have to do that. There wouldn't be any of that work to actually do if Facebook would just post it up as you put it up. If I post pictures 1 through 10 in a sequence, there is a reason for that sequence. Let's see. Facebook's privacy policy is ridiculous. They collect so much personal information and share it for the sake of making money. That's right, we live in a capitalist nation. That's why homeless people are enslaved. Because it makes money for people who already have money. Plus, it's somebody who doesn't have the money to actually defend themselves, so it's an easy rollover. Metal Heart Gunner types, some people seriously think he's an Illuminati robot. Laugh my ass off, like they are convinced of it. You'd be surprised about how easy it is to dox somebody with their Facebook data. There's a lot of words like doxing. There's a lot of these words that I didn't learn until after Natalie died. Most of the people who offered to help me are web sleuth wingnuts. I mean, their pastime, their special interest, and I understand many of you, that's your special interest too, is dead people. You just totally infatuated by it. Now, as far as doxing someone, trying to get them to lose their life, lose their house, lose their job, well, people did those things to me, didn't they? And did anyone do anything about it? We had to think and feel. I guess that's something. Looks like it's Kelsey Sutton's birthday today. Anyway, I obviously I'm moving around a lot and trying not to, so I'm going to pee myself. I'm ending this. Y'all be safe. I'll make another video later.